At 84, Cliff Richard has chosen to look back with honesty, gratitude, and striking humility. Born Harry Roger Webb in colonial India, he would rise to become one of Britain's most enduring musical icons. His memoir, A Head Full of Music and Memories, reveals not just the glitter of stardom, but the emotional sacrifices, spiritual convictions, and quiet resilience that shaped his remarkable journey. From teenage rock and roll rebel to knighted national treasure, Richard's story spans continents, cultural revolutions, heartbreak, faith, and unwavering dedication to music across 7 extraordinary decades. Early years. From Lucknow to post-war Britain, Cliff Richard was born on October 14, 1940, in Lucknow, then part of British India. His early childhood unfolded against the backdrop of global war and political transformation. Following Indian independence in 1947, his family relocated to England in 1948, settling in Hertfordshire. Post-war Britain was still recovering, and the Webb family faced financial hardship and cultural displacement. For young Harry, adapting was difficult, but music became a refuge. Skiffle and early rock and roll records offered hope and escape, planting the seeds of ambition that would soon define his life. The birth of Cliff Richard and a British rock revolution. Determined to pursue performance, Harry Webb reinvented himself as Cliff Richard, Cliff symbolizing rock, and Richard honoring his hero, Little Richard. In 1958, he exploded onto the scene with Move It, widely regarded as Britain's first authentic rock and roll single. Backed by the Shadows, he became the UK's answer to Elvis Presley. Teenagers were captivated by his slick style and confident swagger. At a time when rock was controversial, Cliff stood at the forefront, proving Britain could generate its own electrifying sound. Surviving the 60s, fame in a changing landscape. The 1960s transformed popular music, particularly with the rise of the Beatles. Yet Cliff did not fade. Instead, he broadened his appeal through successful musical films such as The Young Ones, Summer Holiday, and Wonderful Life. These light-hearted productions cemented his wholesome image and expanded his audience across generations. While musical tastes shifted dramatically, Cliff adapted without abandoning his identity. He remained relevant, demonstrating a rare balance between reinvention and consistency in a rapidly evolving cultural era. Faith and transformation. A public declaration. In 1966, Cliff made a decision that would shape his life beyond music. He publicly declared his Christian faith. At a time when rock culture leaned toward rebellion, his commitment stood out. Faith influenced not only his personal conduct, but his artistic direction. He became involved in charity work and religious initiatives, integrating moral conviction into his public life. Unlike many contemporaries, he maintained a reputation for discipline and integrity. His clean image was not manufactured. It reflected sincere belief. For Cliff, spirituality provided grounding amid fame's turbulence and helped sustain him through decades of scrutiny. Reinvention and enduring hits. The 1970s and 1980s marked another evolution. Cliff transitioned from teen idol to mature pop artist, achieving renewed commercial success with hits like Devil Woman, We Don't Talk Anymore, Wired for Sound, and Mistletoe and Wine. His willingness to collaborate with contemporary producers kept his sound current. Few artists manage relevance across generations, yet Cliff achieved UK top 5 hits in 8 consecutive decades. In 1995, he was knighted by Elizabeth II, becoming the first rock and roll star to receive such an honor, affirming his profound contribution to British culture. The Cost of Love. A painful first goodbye. Behind the fame lay emotional sacrifice. In 1961, at age 21, Cliff wrote a heartfelt letter to his first serious girlfriend, Australian dancer Delia Wicks. Rising stardom forced him to choose between love and career. In the 3-page letter, he confessed that music had become inseparable from his identity and that family responsibilities weighed heavily after his father's death. He urged her to find someone free to offer marriage and stability. The decision devastated her and haunted him for years. It was the first stark example of how ambition demanded deeply personal concessions. Relationships that almost were Cliff's romantic life remained complex yet dignified. He briefly dated actress Una Stubbs and later formed a serious relationship with dancer Jackie Irving, whom he once considered marrying. In the early 1980s, his romance with tennis champion Sue Barker captured public fascination. Photographs of the pair at Wimbledon fueled speculation of marriage. Cliff openly admitted he was in love, yet uncertainty about balancing artistry with domestic life prevailed. By 1986, the relationship ended amicably. Once again, commitment to career outweighed personal fulfillment, reinforcing his lifelong bachelorhood. Missed chances and what might have been another poignant chapter involved Olivia Newton-John. Cliff admitted he had been in love with her during the early 1970s, but timing worked against him. She was engaged, and he quietly stepped aside. His reflections reveal recurring themes: respect, restraint, and acceptance. Rather than scandal, his romantic history is marked by what might have been. He often acknowledged that marriage requires full devotion, something difficult for an artist constantly touring and recording. For Cliff, love was never absent, but permanence proved elusive amid relentless professional demands. He was massive. Admiration for Paul McCartney. In his memoir, Cliff reflects candidly on Paul McCartney. Recalling the first time he heard Love Me Do, he sensed musical history shifting. Though already established, he recognized McCartney's revolutionary songwriting. He was massive, Cliff writes, not merely in fame, but in influence. He describes admiration rather than rivalry, insisting there was mutual respect between early pioneers and the Beatles' generation. Backstage encounters revealed McCartney's humility, despite knighthood and global acclaim. Watching Paul perform into later decades inspired Cliff to continue touring, embracing longevity rather than retreating from it. Trials, perseverance, and public vindication. Cliff's later life was not without hardship. A high-profile investigation in the 2000s brought intense media scrutiny, though no charges were filed, and he was ultimately vindicated. The ordeal tested his resilience and faith. Yet public sympathy grew as many saw the toll taken by invasive coverage. Rather than withdraw, Cliff persisted, recording, touring, and engaging fans. His steadfast composure reinforced his image as a figure of dignity. Having weathered cultural shifts, heartbreak, and controversy, he remained remarkably composed, guided by conviction and gratitude for enduring support from generations of admirers. Legacy beyond the spotlight. With over 250 million records sold worldwide, Cliff Richard's achievements are monumental. Yet numbers alone do not define him. His Christmas releases became seasonal traditions. His concerts attracted loyal fans spanning decades. More importantly, he offered an alternative model of celebrity, grounded, principled, and reflective. His life defies stereotypical narratives of excess and collapse. Instead, it illustrates endurance shaped by faith, discipline, and adaptability. He opened doors for British rock, sustained relevance through seismic change, and acknowledged those who surpassed him without bitterness. Such humility strengthens rather than diminishes his stature. Conclusion: a testament to endurance. At 84, Sir Cliff Richard stands as both pioneer and witness to modern music history. His memoir is not sensational confession, but thoughtful reflection. From colonial India to global stages, from teenage idol to knighted statesman of pop, his journey reveals the price and privilege of fame. In honoring figures like Paul McCartney while recounting lost loves and personal trials, he situates himself honestly within a larger story. Ultimately, Cliff's legacy rests not only in hits and honors, but in resilience, faith, and the quiet courage to remain true to himself across an extraordinary lifetime.